I've known artists in Northeast Minneapolis since before these hipsters even knew where 13th Avenue was. This was an arts district way before the signs, the studios, the yuppies, the rising rents, and the Vitamin or City Pages write-ups. I was raised by artists. Passionate, ill-adjusted, don't quite fit, can't quite cut it, gotta get it out, too much in them, offbeat rhythm, prophetic vision, full of beauty and sensitivity. Artists with no canvas other than our paycheck to paycheck lives to hold their genius. Shit, I lived inside of a masterpiece, carved out of waitress wages, day after day, backbreak, frustration, alcoholism, sobriety, and more love than can be imagined. I have heard poetry on street corners, bus stops, and basketball courts. Sometimes it was floating through blunt smoke, sometimes it was stumbling through cheap liquor, sometimes it was dancing on the underappreciated accents of immigrants who hold more degrees than any classroom teacher I ever had, but were forced to Central Avenue lectures by American racism. That is the poetry that these poets are so often impersonating. I come from a community of artists, the kind romanticized but never fully captured by these posers, suffering souls with no safety net, squeezing beauty out of grit and out of grime, who needed to be creative to survive, quite literally. My friend's moms designs costumes for Spam and Hamburger Helper so well they could have won Oscars for the role of main dish they played in the production of Supper. My grandmother was a set maker. She created scenes so real that in her Section 8 apartment, we actually believed that she was rich. No novelist could develop the characters as strong and as deep as those authored by our grandmothers and grandfathers, moms and dads, uncles, aunts, brothers and sisters. I know young stylists so talented that they turned hand-me-downs into high fashion. We danced to the illest soundtrack I've ever heard. Deep laughter and intense arguments on the vocals. The feet of old Eastern Europeans and young South Americans playing pavement, pounding percussions, the number 10 bus on the rhythm, old hoopties on the horns with church bells and police sirens rounding that all out in the background. The Northeast Minneapolis that I know produced more than a few storytellers with the mastery of magical realism that would make Gabriel Garcia Marquez look like just another one of the fellas. Nobody is bringing us culture. We are culture. We have been weaving our cultural tapestry through our histories, through our languages, through our struggles for generations. Most of y'all just can't see it or aren't interested. Maybe that's because most of the time we didn't have the chance or the time or the space or the resources to separate our art from our daily life, and maybe that's why y'all can't seem to dig it. Most of this arts district scene, they have that separation quite secure, and I'm sure that's why I can't dig it. It's ironic to me that most of the artists I cherish are mostly invisible to this so-called art scene. Even more so that it romanticizes and references the working class history of Northeast Minneapolis for the sake of charm and ambiance, while at the same time it displaces and ignores the working class present, but I know that we are here. Since before these hipsters even knew where 13th Avenue was, full of beauty and sensitivity, artists with no canvas other than our paycheck to paycheck lives to hold our genius. Much respect to everybody in the room.